session will be recorded. So we're going to go ahead and start the recording. And please continue to share where you're joining us from. And if we can go ahead and start the slides. Great. So again, everyone, hello. Thank you for joining Reinventing Libraries for a Post-COVID World. This session is Transforming Library Engagement in a Virtual Landscape. I am Rosa Rodriguez, your presenter for this session. If anyone has any questions, enter them in the chat and I will answer them at the end. We'll have a few minutes at the end to answer those questions that you might have. This session will discuss how the CSUSM Library's virtual open house was planned and implemented, and also how to create a digital welcome guide for your library institution. Just going to share a little bit of information about California State University San Marcos. Our campus is located in North County, San Diego, and it is a public university and a Hispanic serving institution. And just 3 fun facts that I'd like to share about our library. Our doors officially opened on January 20th, 2004 at 8 o'clock. It is one of the largest libraries in the California State University system. And our archives contains an original sign from when the campus was a chicken farm. In 2020, we had about 16,000 students enrolled, and each summer our campus welcomes about 5,000 students that are first year and transfer students. And throughout the summer, there are a total of 17 orientations where we welcome some of those students. And out of those summer sessions, they have a resource fair, and the library does attend those resource fairs to help inform students about the library services that we offer on campus. And typically we engage with about 500 students throughout those 17 sessions in the summer. And out of those 17 sessions, there are 3 that are geared for our Spanish-speaking families that I attend. And the students are joined by their families or guests at those sessions. Next slide, please. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, the library attended the resource fairs. And as I mentioned, there was a total of 17, but during the pandemic, the orientations were held virtually. We still attended the 17 sessions, including the 3 scheduled for Spanish-speaking families. Unfortunately, we only had 11 attendees during all 17 summer sessions. And as you can compare, there was a vast difference between engaging with 500 plus students with only 17 that summer, last summer. So I believe it was due to the virtual platform that caused the low attendance during the resource fair. So one of the questions that I asked myself was, how can the library connect and inform students that we missed during those orientations to inform them about the library services that we have available for them that will help them during their academic journey? And my answer was the virtual open house. The virtual open house was really to invite students to learn about those library services, as well as to help students navigate the library's website, how to contact the librarians through our chat, and also if they had any general questions about our library services, they would do that through the chat. So I really wanted them to be able to know how to connect and contact us. Also focus on interlibrary loan services that we have, and library events and other services for students. In planning this virtual open house, one of the first things that I did was consider what type of platform I wanted to use to host this event. After looking at the various ones that people were using, like Facebook Live, YouTube, Instagram, I decided to go with Zoom. And the reason for that was because I knew that I could potentially request support from our IITS department for this event. And then the second step that I did was select a date and time. And one of the first things that I did was review other events on campuses. And whether you're planning an event through if you're an academic library or if you're a public library, I would suggest that looking at any of calendars that are available to you to see what other events are happening. We really don't want to interfere with another large event that could potentially decrease your attendance for your own event. So I did select a date and time based on what was happening on our campus, and also keeping in mind that Zoom events were happening all over across campus. So I did not want to over, saturate Zoom events. So I decided to select a date in November right before finals week, or finals were starting, so that students were informed about some of the support that we offered with our subject librarian specialists, that they can reach out to them and have that in mind as they started some of those projects. And so the next thing that I did was invite library departments to participate in this virtual open house planning. And how I did that was I reached out to the various departments asking if they would like to participate by having a staff representative there so that they can speak about those services that they were experts in. And so I asked for participation, and I also asked for volunteers, because clearly doing a virtual event for the very first time was going to be a little challenging, just because it was a new platform for a lot of us. And so there were volunteers that helped during the event from some of the departments. And the next thing I did was create a marketing plan to help promote this event. And we created a really cool graphic, as you see partially on this slide. And we promoted this event through our social media platforms. We also contacted our campus so they could do a general campus announcement that went out to everyone, which included our students, staff, and our faculty, so that faculty could also share these with the event with their students. We also created a spotlight on the library's website that featured the event. And I also reached out to the campus partners that I had relationships with, so they can also share the links and information through their social media platforms. The next thing that I did was consider what type of incentives that I wanted to offer. And for anyone who's ever done outreach, we get students or attendees to come to our table by offering something for students, whether it's a bowl full of chocolates or a candy, an activity that they can participate in. One of the favorite activities for students to do when we hold events are button making. So I felt that having an incentive was going to be essential for us to get people or students to attend. And we did offer free stickers to the first 25 people who registered to our event. And we also offered students to enter to win one of four $50 Amazon gift cards. So we were hoping that would incentivize them to join us. And the next was planning how this was going to look on Zoom and virtually, right? So I decided to have a main room where students joined us first, and after the main room, we can ask students to join a breakout room. So next slide, please. So in the main room, I had a greeter. The greeter was responsible for focusing on demonstrating how to navigate the website, showing students the chat features that we had, also how to connect with the librarians, showing them our spotlight. Our spotlight typically features something new that's happening in our library, perhaps a new book collections of books, events that are happening, some new features. So pointing that out, asking students if they wanted to join our emailing list and other library services. And we also assigned breakout rooms for the students when they joined. And we also provided the opportunity drawing link that was also connected to a survey for students to fill out once they visited the different breakout rooms. I did have a Spanish speaking person there to help any person who preferred to speak in Spanish. As I mentioned earlier, we do have, it is a Hispanic serving institution. So next slide, just going to talk a little bit about our breakout rooms. Thank you. So the breakout rooms were 4 different ones that students could, that had to visit before they were provided the link to enter the opportunity drawing. We had a representative from user services, and user services spoke about our new book lockers that we had recently purchased for the pandemic that were contactless. So demonstrating on how to use those lockers, and also pointing out the drop-off locations for items that they needed to return. They also answered questions about students' accounts, how to access their accounts. And we also highlighted our books on reserve that we have for some of the courses, and answered general questions in the user services breakout room. We also had a librarian rep in our teaching and learning breakout room, and they really focus on research help, informing them that they can make appointments with their subject librarian specialist. And they also showed them whether the chat feature is for students to reach out to their librarians for any questions that they might have with any assignments or research that they would be doing. The librarian also pointed out the research and course guides. And we also had someone from collection, delivery, and access, and that staff focused on instructing students on how to use interlibrary loans, how to fill out the form, where the form was located on our website. Sometimes students who are new or transferring from a community college may not be familiar with our website and may find it difficult finding that resource. And it is a really great resource for students. If we don't have something in our collection, we really wanted them to know that we work really hard to get that material that they are needing for their assignment or research that they might be doing. And we also have special collections who focused on some of our special collections that we have, such as our archives. And our archives collections are items that we hold in our archives that are from local breweries here in San Diego. We also have the Paul Ecke collection, which is a family-owned business that sold poinsettias. We hold some of their items, some of their files, and also other items such as the chicken farm sign that I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. Next slide, please. One of the fun things that we did provide students was a digital welcome guide. This really helped students feel and get to know the library in a different way. Traditionally, we are there to welcome our students, point out the different floors that we have in the library. And because of the pandemic, unfortunately, we weren't able to do that. So I really wanted to create something that would welcome our students, make them feel comfortable with us, provide resources for them. And especially during finals, we find that having de-stressing stations in our library really supports our students. So there's a component in the digital welcome guide that was provided to them. And I'll share a little bit more about that in just a second. So we had a team that actually helped build this guide. And this is one thing that I do want to point out, that it offers such a great opportunity for us to really connect with other departments in the library. It's not that we don't, but most of the outreach team are the ones who are doing the tabling events, but having this virtual event really brought other staff who typically don't join us, have an opportunity to contribute some of their thoughts and ideas, and also join us for the virtual event. And the digital welcome guide was another component that they were able to add some of their ideas and creativity. So I'm not going to highlight all of them. I provided the link. Matthew, my assistant, provided the link there on the chat. I invite you to explore the digital guide after the conference, and if always reach out to me if you have any questions about the guide. But I will just talk about some of the ones that I thought were really fun and engaging for our students. Besides having the resources that we have walking them our students, we had a welcome message from our dean. And the one thing that we did that was, I thought, really custom was the Zoom backgrounds. So everyone was using Zoom. People were getting used to using Zoom, and we created custom-made Zoom backgrounds for our students. So I had a few pictures of the library itself on the 24/5 zone area. The library is typically open 24 hours, 5 days a week, Sunday through Thursday. During the pandemic, obviously we were not, but I wanted to show some of the spaces that we had in our library. So that was one of the backgrounds that we had. We had a picture of comfortable chairs that are really popular with students. So that was another Zoom background. And we also had the computer area where students use our computers when needed. So that was one of the options that they had to, engage with us. And then the other one was our recipes. We um, invited staff to share some of their favorite recipes that were quick, easy, and affordable. And affordable being the key thing for our students. We really didn't want them to spend too much money or go out and purchase ingredients that they typically don't have in their pantries. So we kept the recipe simple, and as I mentioned earlier, it really did help have our library engage with our students in a different way than they typically do. And so the digital guide link is up there. Feel free to explore that. There's a lot of things in there that you can review. We had productivity tools, a section on what was happening in the library, such as outreach events, information about our common read, and other de-stressing tools like puzzles, online puzzles. And I'll mention really quick that I did make custom made some puzzles for students based on some of the pictures that we had on our library and some interactive activities that I had. Next slide, please. So we had a survey that we provided to students to enter the opportunity drawing. And one of the questions on our survey was, what was your favorite part? And I just wanted to share one that I felt that really spoke about what this event meant to students. And this was great because it was interactive, unlike so many informational webinars where you sit and passively watch. You actually got to speak with people and ask questions, which was appreciated. And for me, I think this really meant a lot as to what this event meant to our students, especially because a lot of them were new students, transfer students, and first year students. And I felt that they really had that opportunity to get to know us, get to know some of the library services, get to ask questions, get familiar with some of the building floors that we had, since some of them had never been on our campus because they were new students. So I really like that comment that they provided, that it was engaging for them. Next slide, please. So some of the benefits and challenges. Benefits was the one-on-one engagement, the potential to reach out to more students. We do have a satellite campus in Temecula, which is about 45 minutes away from our campus. So it offered them an opportunity to join this event where typically they don't come to our events because they're a lot further than students who commute to our San Marcos campus. And like I mentioned earlier, the interdepartmental collaboration that offered staff an opportunity to really engage with us in this virtual open house. And then opportunity for students to ask questions, as I mentioned earlier. Some of the challenges were Zoom. Some of our staff had never used Zoom before, so we did need to offer training for all of our staff, and also the availability of volunteers. Because this event was after some of the hours that staff typically works, we were asking staff to stay after work, and I really appreciated the fact that they were willing to stay after hours to help with this event and welcome our students. The breakout rooms a year ago, they did not have that option for self-selection, but thank goodness that Zoom updated that, and this new feature now has where students or attendees can self-select the breakout rooms. So going forward, that's something that we won't have to have a problem with. And there was some low attendance, so that's something that I need to consider moving forward, how I can put the word out more on campus about this event. And I will go to the next slide. And I just want to share some of our social media platforms if you want to connect with us. And next slide. Questions. So I saw some of the questions in there, and I'm just going to read through them. Says, so how many students showed up for it? We had a total of 17 students show up for the actual event. Let's see. I hope that if you haven't tried the link, try it again and see if it's working for you. What program do you use for custom puzzles? Oh, if you visit that link and you look under puzzles, it'll show you on that page what website I use. If you can't find it, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to provide that link for you. Did you create any de-stress events for the virtual space? Funny that you should ask that. I did not for this event. This event was just an hour focusing on really engaging with students and informing them about their services that we have. However, I am planning an event this fall for finals week where we're going to have a drop-in program for students, and we are going to be offering a de-stressing breakout room for them. What was the time duration for the individual breakout rooms? There wasn't a time limit. The event was for an hour. We ended up being a little bit over an hour because some students were still having conversations. And did each registrant only get to attend one, or could they move around from room to room? No, they were asked to go to each of those rooms in order to enter the opportunity drawing. We did not record because when we use Zoom, you can only record in the main room. And the sessions happened concurrently, so it was the full hour that students could come in and join the breakout rooms. So there wasn't any different times for that event. And it looks like I have a few more messages. Let me just follow up. Someone mentioned Jigsaw Planet. Could you go back on one slide for social media links? Of course. Thank you for asking, Holly. Let's see. Thanks for sharing those puzzles. Lucy, I appreciate that. The digital welcome guide, we did have a video where we showed them how to navigate the welcome guide. So that is still up, and the digital welcome guide is accessible to students. And we promote it, and we also share it with faculty and staff on campus. How do we know? We assign each of the rooms a word, and when they entered the opportunity drawing, there was an area there where they had to enter that room that was provided during that breakout room. All right. It looks like we are done. I want to just say thank you, everyone, for joining the session. I appreciate you, your questions. And here is my contact information. Feel free to reach out and ask any questions about the digital welcome guide or the virtual open house. I hope you all enjoy the rest of the conference. And we can stop the recording.